Hey everybody, this is Zaylin from LittleNerdyAX. I'm joined by my two friends, Alan, boop, his little information is right there, and we have Dohong, boop, hers is right there.
Hello.
And we are going to do a spoiler and non-spoiler review, or yeah, I guess so, of Captain America: Civil War. So without further ado, let's be spoiler-free. I don't know why I did that. I just shrunk in this thing.
Getting our level.
I'm so classless. So you guys, overall impressions? Did you guys like the movie? Did you not like it, or?
Yeah.
I think it definitely was really good because, again, maybe like a month ago we watched Batman vs. Superman. It set the
Yes,
bar
that
so
happened.
low that I think this movie was just, it was such a bright spot that it got us back up into comic book movies.
Yeah, I mean,
like
with
that.
Marvel stuff, it's generally lighter in tone, and I think sometimes that's welcome when you're like watching all the DC movies and they're so dark. And
Well, the thing is, like, even for me, like, I'm a huge DC, comics fan
Me too.
and stuff like that. But, like, with this movie, and again, I hadn't really caught up on the Marvel movies. I just watched what's it called, Captain America: Winter Soldier right
Which is a good
before
movie.
it.
Oh,
And I haven't seen Ant-Man, I haven't seen Thor: The Dark World, I haven't seen a lot of them actually. But
Hashtag Marvel fail.
but watching this particular movie, it actually made me want to go back and watch all of them, especially Ant-Man, because
Hashtag Marvel win.
and stuff like that. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff, and I'm just really excited about all the Marvel stuff now, especially a lot of the stuff that's coming up in addition.
Be careful, world. She might become a convert to the Marvel side. At least in the cinematic universe.
Yeah.
At least in the cinematic universe. Alan, what about you?
yeah. Overall, I thought it was a really, really good movie, and I really liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it a lot. And that's
Didn't
not
love it?
that's not the DC guy and me being like, oh, Marvel. It's really just I feel like. I don't want to get too into it, but just, in general, I feel like the Marvel movies can be very formulaic. And Winter Soldier was one of my favorite, other than Iron Man, one of my favorite Marvel movies. And it set a pretty dark tone, but, still kept the lightness in there. And considering it was directed by the Russos, I thought it was going in that direction. It kind of went back to the formulaic Marvel thing. Whereas I thought Winter Soldier kind of departed from it a little bit.
I can see that. I can totally see that.
So you like the Winter Soldier more than Civil War?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Yes, and Winter Soldier to me, it's kind of weird to say, but I felt like it was better than it should have been, meaning that I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was.
Right.
And me not actually being an actual fan of the Winter Soldier, not knowing much of his lore, and not really being a big Captain America kind of person, which I guess is not patriotic or whatever, unpatriotic, but whatever.
Do you hate America? Is that what you're
Right? It's like if you don't like
Is that
Captain
what
America,
you're
like if you don't like Captain America, Superman, you clearly hate America because they're the flagships for each, Marvel and DC respectively. But anyways, Civil War was I really enjoyed it. I knew that I was going to enjoy it, and I got more like before they announced it, I thought it was going to be one thing. And then when I saw what they could actually afford to do, having read some of the comics of Civil War or whatever in that series, I was like, you guys can't afford to do with the comics, so how are you going to tell this story without, let's just say, mutants involved or whatever? And they did a pretty good job. Like, you got the tension, the main themes that were in the comics kind of carried across really well into the film, even though they only had like a handful of people on each side, so like 10 people, 8 people, I don't know.
Roughly,
but
yeah.
I think about 6 to 7 people on each side.
Yeah, which honestly, character-wise, whether you're familiar with them or not, that's a lot of storylines or at least things to juggle to make them interesting. I think that Civil War did a good job with that because that was my biggest concern. All these characters, you don't have a lot of time. Are you going to drag this movie out? Like how many are you going to do an origin story for every single one? Like, how are you going to make them interesting and give them all their moment throughout the film? I think they did a good job of that.
And I think what helped is that they've all had a movie presence.
Yeah,
before
that really helped.
There wasn't any new characters really introduced other than
Yeah, we'll get that in the spoiler,
the
spoiler version. Yeah,
but yeah, I think definitely having all their own standalone movies and their team movies all helped kind of skip all that part and just let's get straight into the problems.
Yes, yeah. I think that was also why it didn't feel as long as it was because it was definitely over 2 hours. I'm sure.
Yeah. I think it was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was definitely over 2 hours easy.
They didn't spend a lot of time on origin stories.
No, because that if you go and check Dohong's right here. There we go. But now my face, put it right here. Dohong's.
I'm like, my face, not yours.
Batman vs Superman review. If you check that out or whatever, you'll see the problems that we had, especially when it came to superheroes' origins and how that was handled in that particular frame. But we're not here to talk about that. So I don't want to ask if anybody had a favorite character specifically in this movie because I'm afraid that it might. Don't go into spoiler material
Yes,
or whatever.
Well, I can say something, but basically at the end of the film, when everything was over, I felt really good. You know, it's just one of those
That's
things that,
good.
like, I didn't feel like, oh, but what about that one part? Because it just seemed like maybe when you sit down and really think about it, there's some parts that don't make sense. But overall, it was just a really good movie
You left
experience. And
satisfied.
I went
Yeah.
with my friends, of course, and there was actually a lot of other people that were present as
Hashtag
well.
friendship.
Friendship goals.
All the French, all the
Goals,
hashtags
friendship
are across my
goals.
chest.
So many
of
And
hashtags.
it was just a really, really fun experience. Again, it's not like I'm not to that point where I can pinpoint my favorite Marvel movie, but it was a very great. And it's not even my first Marvel movie, but I think it's a great introduction to me, sort of maybe getting really into Marvel. I
Okay,
think,
okay,
because
yeah, I can
it
see
had
that.
all the characters in it, and I'm like, I can pinpoint my favorite character moments with each character
Yeah,
because they did such a
good job.
good
managing
job
all
of
them.
balancing everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. I think so. So, so like I said, I won't ask that just yet. But for the non-spoiler section of this video, would you, silly question, see it again
Yes.
in theaters? There's a
Yes.
difference. DVD.
I'd see it in the theaters.
Okay. Now, as a DC guy, would you own it though?
I own a lot of the Marvel movies.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Just because I like to support the genre.
Yes.
But
More
yeah.
superhero movies. We have 3 more coming out this year. At
Yeah,
least.
I think the only ones I don't own are like the Thor ones. I just can't quite get into Thor's world that much, even though I love Loki. But
You just can't get into Thor's world.
yeah, I
It's a
can't.
beautiful world.
It is beautiful. Asgard, yes. But no, I
I don't think she's talking about Asgard. I think she's talking about
his body
Asgard.
world,
Asgard.
his Asgard. Yeah, no, I don't know. I thought the first Thor movie was really good, and I don't want to get off topic too much, but
Right.
yeah, I don't know. Nothing has driven me to want to rewatch it or revisit it too much.
No replay value.
Yeah, and
Right.
not that it's bad. It's just it is what it is, and it was enough for me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that you have probably already in your mind pre-ordered this thing.
Oh my God!
You set aside
yes.
$20
Yes,
to make sure
like
that you
it's
got the...
it's going to happen. Like I'm adding to my collection. I actually now regret not buying because of this film. I don't know if it's a spoiler to mention that this character's in or not. Maybe I won't say it. But a certain character, I'm like, well, I think I don't know. Regardless, I'm like, I should have bought your movie, and now I'm going to buy it because I forgot how funny this character is, and I'll go into
Exactly.
that in the spoiler version of this review. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, guys, how would you rank it? How many? How many were you Team Captain or Team Iron Man? Did you have a side?
You see, that's the thing about me because I don't know too much of it.
Okay.
I honestly didn't delve too deeply into, and also like I'm just simply one of those people that doesn't really choose sides. It's a piece of entertainment for
Okay,
me, so I
okay.
might be like, oh, there's advantages to both sides. You can keep an eye on these heroes, make sure they don't do something crazy. But at the same time, there's a lot of red tape when it comes to having like that amount of oversight over these heroes. And so like I always had like there was always sides that you could see too.
Apathetic, boring response. I was trying to get a rivalry going for you guys, but no. Okay.
But you know what? I would honestly have to say that for some reason, the way that the film ended up, like I honestly thought that their roles were reversed. I thought, if that made any sense, like
Yeah,
me
no,
knowing
no.
nothing of, not much of Captain America and Iron Man, I always thought that Iron Man was the one that was kind of like, no, we're not, no, you can't keep us locked in like
Yeah,
this. You can't
yeah.
tell us what to do. I was really surprised.
Yes.
If
Yes.
that makes any sense. I don't know
Yes.
if this is, because I never read the comics, and so that's why.
The
when
way
I
that
went-
he's been built up in the
Yeah,
series,
when I
that's
went,
the
when
impression
I
that you
thought
would
that
think he'd be
Iron
on
Man
that side.
was the one that was kind of like, no, you can't keep these tabs on us. You can't tell us, not to do something when we are needed.
Okay,
that,
okay.
I was kind of confused, but I could sort of understand why, especially, spoilers. So
Well, what about you, Alan? The outcome was that?
Yeah, I never really thought about whose side I was on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I didn't know what their stance was in the movie until I
Fair
saw
enough.
the movie.
Okay,
but,
okay.
But before that, I liked them both a lot, and I kind of want to say I was more of an Iron Man fan.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah,
Tony
I-
Stark is a very likable character, even with all of his flaws. He's entertaining to watch on screen. So
Yeah.
even that aside, then he has awesomely cool gear. you know?
Yeah.
And
he tries
despite-
to be a good guy too.
Yeah,
Like,
he does.
I-
He does. He makes mistakes.
Yeah.
The previous film
He's
showed that.
fallible.
Yeah.
Captain
Yeah.
America is very clean and
Mhm.
trying to sort of figuring himself out, and nothing wrong with that. But there just wasn't as much depth to him.
Okay.
You know.
So on a scale of 5 proton blasts, that's Iron Man's signature move in
Yeah.
most video games.
Yeah.
How would you rank the movie?
Say a 4.
Four.
Not a
Four.
strong 4. I was gonna say like a strong 3, but it was better than that. I give it like a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 proton blast. Okay, so we have you over here. I'm just gonna assume that.
Are you going to
If
assume
you had
something
to,
about
yes,
me?
I am.
Based on the way I
Since
look?
you were so
Is
in the
that what it
middle,
is? Yeah.
whose body do you like more, Iron Man's or Captain America?
Oh, Captain America.
So we're gonna give you shields. So out of 5 shields, how would you
Have
rank
you
the movie?
seen his body? It's
We
shaped,
saw it in the first one.
It's shaped like a Dorito.
That V taper though.
triangle
That like
torso.
I was like, all right. He knows what Jim is.
Yeah. What was the question again?
We lost her.
No, you asked me something.
On a scale
Of 5 Doritos.
yes,
How many
Doritos.
Doritos?
of 5 Doritos.
His body, 5 Doritos. No, 10 Doritos.
You want 2
No,
of them.
I would have
Okay.
to say 4.5 because
4.5.
I think if it was one of those
half the
things
shield
that
is cracked.
if the thing is, if I was going to buy it, I think I would have ranked it 5. But I don't think this is a movie. It would be a movie that I would watch again totally, and I think that's what's going to happen because I do have another friend who's interested in seeing it, so I offered to go with him. But because I just don't think it's the type of film that I would ever, not to say watch again, but like it was very enjoyable, but I don't think I'd ever buy it.
Own it. You wouldn't
Yeah,
own it.
So I would have
Okay.
to say 4.5 Dorito men. Dorito shaped men?
10 Dorito shaped man.
I'm gonna say 4.5 shields for the movie. I'm gonna
No.
give you 10 Doritos for Captain America's body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Me personally, out of all the films, and I do have a bias towards one. I actually really liked the first Avengers film for multiple reasons. I think it was team superhero movies done right. Especially considering as much moving parts and it has novelty behind it, so that creates my bias. But compared to this one, which I'll go into detail why I made that kind of comparison in a few moments when we get to the spoiler section, I would probably say that this film, for me, as much as I enjoyed it, actually would also be a 4.5, maybe even 4.25.
Doritos?
4.
Okay, Shields. Okay.
I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 chocobos. Yes.
What? I
Why
can't
not?
believe that I have a higher rating for it than you.
It's something because of just there were certain things that
Oh, certain things. I'm curious
there were certain things
to
that
see.
we're going to talk about that
Okay.
I won't say were misleading about the film, but makes it a film that I could see that may have some moments of just misleading, false advertisement in a way. And again, I'm open to even admitting that I might even be biased upon my knowledge of the comics, but I don't think it's that. Well, we'll talk about that later. So we have 4, a 4, and a 4.5. And this will conclude our spoiler-free review of Captain America: Civil War. Right now, you should probably stop the video, go see the movie, then come back and keep watching for the views. Thanks, guys. All right, so spoiler time. All right. Okay, all right. This was not a Captain America movie.
Yeah, no.
It was an Avengers movie. And that's the only reason I was like, I felt like I was misled. Because even though Captain America was in it, he was a focal point. We followed his narrative or whatever. At the end of the day, I do feel like it was an Avengers movie, which is not a bad thing. I just think that if you hated the Avengers, but you like Captain America, you're going to get the Avengers and you're going to be disappointed. Me, I love the Avengers. I like the new Avengers. I'm calling them the new Avengers. And the way that it ended, I'm looking forward to what I'm dubbing the Secret Avengers. So, I'm just, because Cap went bye-bye. So I'm looking
He's
forward to all
actually
of
in
that.
Wakanda. We know where he is.
No, Cap is not in Wakanda.
I thought he was.
Bucky's in Wakanda. Cap just
Oh.
dropped off Bucky because Bucky made a
right.
very poor life decision
That's
where he's
fair.
like, you know what? I realize that mentally I'm not strong enough to resist my program, even though I've done it all these years. But any type of Russian guy comes up and says a couple of stray words like,
And he just goes off.
Cap, freight train, I'm gonna start killing people. So maybe I should just lock myself up and go Kingdom Hearts.
Why doesn't he just walk around with earplugs in? Right? I mean, is it
Or have
just a-
Stark filter out those words, like make him wear something.
I
Right?
feel like there are options. I mean, honestly, if they even dabbled into it, they could have grabbed a couple, Vision probably could have did some things with them. Maybe Scarlet's, all the people that are, but we have yet to even experience the full range of, I think, even Scarlet Witch's and Vision's abilities yet, even though they've been in 2 movies
They are pretty
technically.
new.
They are very, very new. They helped reconfigure the team because they came in and outwent Thor and Hulk, right?
Right.
And who else?
I honestly totally forgot about the Hulk in this movie. I mean, that's why
They brought him up.
I know, but at the same time, it's
Briefly.
kind of like they did such a great job of having me just interested in all the characters, the new characters that came in.
Exactly.
I forgot that Hulk was just, he went on a ship and went bye-bye somewhere. I don't even remember
Somewhere.
that.
Yeah. That was actually handled pretty well because I enjoy Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, and it was weird again. Now I felt in the movie early on, like, this is an Avengers movie. Like, it's not Captain America with this issue against the world or whatever. It's like Captain America, Captain America and his team is the Avengers, and they're having an issue with the world. So it wasn't, he's at the top because he's the leader or whatever. But well, Tony Stark probably said something different. But to an extent, I was like, okay, I'm not getting that. It's not about Captain America. Right. It's about the Avengers, but the Avengers are different now. So do I like that? I think I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna say that I'm okay with that. But can I just please bring the Hulk back at some point, Marvel. Just bring him back, just for my sake. Just bring him back. Mark Ruffalo is great. Is a great Bruce Banner. I'm just saying.
If Thor and Hulk were here, what sides would they be on? Were they in the Civil War comics? And they just took him out for this movie? Because you said there's a lot of different...
I can't remember. There were so many characters in that Civil War comic.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the biggest thing about this one is that in Civil War comic, at least, there were mutants. Oh. And they can't use mutants or whatever. So, so it's like, what story are you going to tell? Which, again, I think they handled very well. But I can't remember what side either one of them was on.
They did the Registration Act. That's what it was.
That's what it was, yeah.
See, I remember that part. See, that's the thing about still being in comics, but not being necessarily like a Marvel fan.
It wasn't the Wakanda Accord or whatever. It was the Registration Act.
Yeah, you hear about rumblings of what's happening in kind of other storylines in other, comic book editorials and stuff like that. So that's why I had heard of that. And I thought maybe that's what it was going to be about. And again, just totally surprised kind of going in because they first of all, they never mentioned it. It's like in the trailers, it just seems that they've got a lot of beef with each other, but you don't know what the source of it is until you actually go into the movie, which is great because again, you're surprised, by how, because I know, because I was sitting right next to you, and you can't keep your mouth shut. But
everybody enjoys my commentary. Never goes to the movies with Zaylin.
We were watching. you might have said something things like, "Oh, that's how that happened." I'm like, but I still I
like just the context of that.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know because you seem to know a little bit more, and so I'm like, oh, am I supposed to know something? And then I started.
I actually remember that. I remember that moment specifically, and it was only because the inciting incident for this whole entire register, don't register thing was they used Wakanda, and I don't know if that was in the original comics. I feel like it involved some reality TV show with mutants and a bunch of kids getting blown up on a bus. I could be wrong. Are we being fact checked right now? No, did we? We could have made the effort, but we didn't. YOLO. But it was really that to me that was really clever using Wakanda, which instantly is a reason to introduce Black Panther, which of course naturally I'm excited for his movie for several reasons. Some of them are racist, some of them are biased, whatever. Whatever. Who was your favorite hero in this, if you had to choose one?
I mean, I don't want to say he's my favorite hero, but he left a very lasting impression, which is the introduction of Spider-Man to the film.
There's someone to say it. I didn't want to.
And really just feeling right. Not that the other Spider-Mans felt wrong, because I'm not. I won't say I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I know enough about him to say, I really like this take on him, and something felt a little more natural about it, and. I definitely think he was put in there to kind of lighten the tone of the film, which could have gone, really dark considering the subject matter. But
DC, excuse me.
Yeah, DC tends to the dark part. But I would say Spider-Man was like a breath of fresh air.
A breath of breath air.
A breath of breath
for this film. So yeah, I gotta kind of say he kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
When all is said and done.
You wanted more of him.
Oh yeah,
which we're gonna get more of him.
Solo movie.
Yeah. So excited about that. What about you?
I think for me,
Captain America. Okay, well we know about that. So on that note, just
let me speak.
Captain Doritos.
I'll talk about my love for Captain America's Dorito shape later, but no. But I would have to say Spider-Man too, because again, kind of to go on your point, the reason why to me he felt natural was because he was young. He actually looked young. He actually sounded.
The
young,
actor's actually young,
and he seemed like a very decent teenager. I think sometimes, maybe some people they like these heroes and these teenagers, especially when they're young, being bullied, to be kind of what's called sad. They have chips on their shoulder. They like those type of heroes. Their parents are dead. But the reason why this one, I don't know. Even if he was see, that's the thing about it. He was just introduced, but we don't know what he's like at school and stuff like that.
That's true.
But he just seems to be just like a normal teenager, interested in engineering or something like that. There was
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
with engineering. He seems smart. He seems nice. He doesn't seem boring. He's just
No, no, not at all.
That's what I'm saying. So he just seems very naturally like a teenager, which is what I always thought Peter Parker was, not some 24-year-old, 30-year-old trying to masquerade as a high schooler.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's
I don't
true.
know. I haven't seen. Well, yeah, okay. So I haven't really seen much of the Spider-Man stuff. So I don't
It's
know.
okay. It's that's completely fine. That's so fine. I too want to say Spider-Man because I was thinking, but
Join the Spider-Man.
I
bandwagon.
kind of want to be the rebel in this one, and say that whereas Spider-Man was probably like definitely like one of the highlights of the film and like super exciting and
Can I
just
guess
like
what you're
it was
gonna say?
great.
Ant-Man.
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
Ant-Man surprised me. He did something that I wanted him to do, and I'm glad he did it. Because, like, okay, it kind of goes back to how you were saying, like, each character has their moment. You can think of something that you liked about each character. And Spider-Man, unfortunately, was only in a few scenes. So he had these, like, specific, like, moments that he had. And those were to showcase him and build up hype for his film. So I got it. The vehicle they used was this film to build up hype for it. Worked. And I'm in. I am actually, though, very curious because I feel like the Spider-Man movie is going to be great. I'm very curious how the Black Panther movie is going to be, and that's why I'm kind of voting for him or whatever. Only because we got an introduction into his world, and they put a lot of stuff open-ended where they're like the last shot, you know, you see like not, you know, the urban or city area, like you see like, you know, these falls, you know, you see the giant vibranium tiger, and I'm a tiger panther, and you know, you're just like, all right, animal fail, and you're just like,
just get out, just leave this room.
well, I tried, but like,
channel.
but you know, you realize that he has his own like huge story that has not been told on the big screen.
Right.
I don't even know how often it's been told on the small screen. So that right there, I'm like, how are you going to tell this? How are you going
What's
to
the
make this
difference between the
applicable?
small
Like
screen and the big screen?
TV.
Oh, okay.
I consider TV. Yeah,
Oh,
small,
small
screen.
screen. Oh,
Big
okay.
screen is like movie theaters
Oh,
or whatever. The more you know. But so that's why he kind of got my attention. Also, I love the way he fight. He fight. I love the way he fought. I love the way he fight. I love the way he fight. No, like because like he was just very carnal and like aggressive. But at the same time, like there were certain things they did with him that I appreciate. That my uncle, he's a big fan of Black Panther, and he always mentioned he's like, it might sound silly, but he's like, if a bunch of superheroes jumped off of a 100-story building, including the Hulk or whatever, and hit the ground, you wouldn't hear Black Panther. And there were these moments where you could hear his feet like rubbing his floor, but he never made a lot of impacts. And I was like, that is so ninja.
Yeah.
Oh God, I was like, I love it. I love it. I love this Wakandan, Nigerian, whatever you are, ninja. I just love what's happening right now. Then he's just like, his combat was just on point, and his little claws, they might have overshot the claws a little bit too much because you get it, you have claws, you're a cat. He didn't come off as, I think, one of my friends was making fun of him as being pretty much like Marvel's equivalent of Catwoman. I was like, he is not Catman. Catman exists. You know about Catman.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, he's the one that's brown and orange, right?
No,
Yeah,
this
he's
is
got
not.
claws.
This is
He's
not.
got claws in his
And also,
chest.
he
This is
doesn't have
not
rips in his
Catman.
uniform in strategic places.
No. It was just, yeah, Black Panther. He really just, and they like they didn't say things, but like his ring. I think his ring was repelling vibranium at one point or something like that. They just bait
They
everywhere.
just give
Just
you a
all that
little bit of
catnip.
everything.
Just
Yeah.
So my vote.
How does
is
he get the suit
Black
on? Like,
Panther.
it's not.
He's not the Flash. Don't throw your
Oh,
DC
okay.
logics in here.
Yeah, wait for his origin movie.
Yeah, wait for his origin movie. You know, he might just go put it on like a normal person.
Right.
I doubt that he like chants or does something. He transforms and it's like a magical man moment
Right.
where he's like,
Yeah, because I mean, he took
power of the
off his
moon.
mask at one point where it was just
Yeah,
physically a mask.
I think he just puts it on. But there's a whole culture behind Black Panther that I'm curious how they're going to interpret in the film. So that's why he was. To me, he's just the most. He was my favorite character in the movie.
Actually, for me, one small detail that I actually really liked because I think it was one of the few things that actually left a mark on actually Captain America's shield hit with because the shield was vibranium,
and so are his claws.
So his claws, and so that's really the only thing that can make marks.
Captain
on
America
the
should have
shield.
reacted to that.
Right.
I
He's
feel like
just
he should have
like,
been like,
what
"Oh, like this doesn't happen."
Right.
Like bazookas, like nuclear warfare, but then you just come and you scratch it.
Yeah.
And then he discarded his scratch shield on the floor, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's so dramatic." I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but even to like the small details like that, like I don't know, for some reason I always remember the fact that the claws actually made an impression.
And when he was like,
on
just
Captain Shield.
the scene when he was running after the cars, I don't know why I was just like, this is a believable run. Like a lot of times, like you have to kind of cheat it. You know what I mean? Like either make them a full body blur or this is not to knock, the X-Men movies, but even Quicksilver, you have to like create something that kind of gives the, the idea of speed. So like,
Right.
at first I thought that Quicksilver only did the thing where he looks at the camera and the background blurs, but then I was reminded by a friend that he also has a thing where like they slow things down, show with speed, but they're not going that fast. So you don't need that degree of like
Right.
effects, but it looked believable that they were running at that speed. Like they were actual like super Olympic runners, like sprinting across.
Yeah, it was
like,
shot well.
It was shot really well. And I was like, you're so awesome. Like I don't even know what you're gonna do in your film. Like I just run and beat up stuff. That's all I want for you to do is just run and beat up stuff because you're just cool to me. You're just cool to me. I'm just saying.
I just want that when he does his solo film, which will happen really soon, which I'm really excited about. And that's the thing, again, about this film, too, is because
It's an
even
ad.
though I'm not versed in Marvel characters and stuff like that, just having focus, at least in 5 minutes in total, on Black Panther, I'm like, I can see this movie happening. And I know that they're going to treat it with respect. At least I hope that they do.
They have to.
And so it's just one of those things that, like, yeah, I'm like, he showed up on screen. It seems like a lot, but really, when you condense it, it
No,
may
he
be
wasn't
like
there a
five,
lot.
something minutes. But if you can, if you can have 5 minutes on the character and still want me to make a whole movie about him, like that's pretty successful. Especially just to introduce a new character that I think many people don't know of.
Yeah. Or will confuse with a certain civil rights movement. But regardless,
I want in his solo movie to have his assistant.
Whoever she was, she had like 2 lines. You remember her?
No.
She was
Are you sure it wasn't one line? Move was it that?
Oh, it was move or you will be moved or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, who is this? Who is this amazing bald woman right now? Who is this amazing bald woman? This woman goes to the gym. She is fit. She probably fights. She probably kills for a living.
I hope she has her own vibranium. Maybe she's
Vibranium?
like vibranium.
I think I do remember like him having like a female bodyguard and she was like a significant character. I just can't remember much about it. I need to go back and just Comixology is going to get all my money when it comes back to like researching. Actually, I'll just use Marvel Unlimited. Regardless, all that was to say was that woman is probably going to be very significant to his storyline, or at least she has to reappear. Because you don't give a character like that just throw away line, just be like, and she had all the camera action. They invested in her wardrobe. I'm just saying.
I just want to see her tell people to move. Repeatedly, like move.
I would move. I'd be like, I don't even know what you're packing right now.
Like
but
even
I'm
if
just
it
gonna
was
move.
like telling her like to move like a small little old frail lady, I'd be like, well, you harder, move.
All right, Grandma. I mean, I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. You need to make it work. You need to make it work. So were there any type of so how do you guys feel about the character relations between them? Because for me, that was a big part of the movie since it was an adventure movie. How they interacted with each other, the chemistry. Were there any type of relationships that stood out, or any type of interactions that were of note to you?
Well, to me, I actually think that one relationship I do remember is the relationship between. Everybody's going to say the relationship between Captain America and Bucky. We know this, but like the relationship
bromance was so
between
strong.
Captain America and actually Black Widow, because Black Widow is always that one. But she is such a close friend with Steve, and you could tell that she was just kind of like, I don't want to be against you, but. I agree with Tony.
Yeah,
this is where but eventually we know that she kind of goes back on it. She prevents, Black Panther from actually getting to Steve and Bucky,
which was something.
Yeah. And so, and that's the thing about it. I always feel like when I'm looking at her character, I feel like I relate to her in the sense that you can see the good sides to both the things. It's like, it is a little bit indecisive, but there are good points about having oversight. There are good points about not having oversight, so you can actually get things done. And her having to struggle with that, I think she maybe can act like as a middle ground between like the characters on screen versus like us viewers, because we're like, some of us are like her. We're kind of like, I can see your points, and I don't want to fight against you, but I have to choose one side. And then,
but you know what? I mean, even when she was siding with Tony, it's kind of like at the end of the day, she really just wanted Doritos. Like,
don't we all though?
At the end of the day, she wanted the Doritos. She was like, I'm just gonna, I understand how I feel right now. So I took it. I was like, she's like, you guys have good, compelling arguments. So think about each side, pros and cons. But she's like, at the end of the day, if I had to choose, I'm gonna go with the Dorito, because Doritos never betray me. Doritos never betray you. You know what you're getting every time. I've yet to have a burnt Dorito, and I'm sorry for anyone who has. So
quality
yes,
control.
Yeah, quality control. What about you, Ellen? Character interactions.
I definitely felt all the character interactions were really strong and their relationships were strong. And I don't know if that was due to just having seen all the Marvel movies and just knowing that these
helps.
characters have established relationships. but yeah, I didn't think anything stood out to me in terms of being not true to their relationship. And I think all the new characters that were introduced and meeting each other for the first time, opened up opportunities for like funny interactions, which they totally did.
Marvel loves doing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I have nothing more to say than that. I mean, I think the relationships were fine to me. I wish DC movies would have some of that stuff too, but
they'll learn. They have to if they want to survive and be as strong as Marvel is. They have to have that.
You think they would have learned by now?
Yeah.
Well, they've only had 2 movies in this. I'm trying to count some slides. They've only had two movies. Like, no one acknowledges that one movie with the green guy. That's now Deadpool. No one acknowledges that movie.
His name is Green Lantern.
We're not going to acknowledge that movie. Don't even mention its name because that movie made me upset, and you should have been upset about it. But I'm assuming you won't. But we're not here to talk about that. Interactions.
Yeah.
Strong interactions. Like, I liked seeing the relationship between Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bias because of the comics. I know that there's some chemistry between there, and to me, it's just a funny idea.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that they were going to put in the film. I caught a small little hint. I don't know if it was a longing stare or something like that in Age of Ultron, but then in this movie,
end,
I was well, no, just even okay. First of all, Ultron, what were you wearing, dog? Like you were so awesome for coming out here in that preppy outfit. Everything. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Fail.
Get out. Get out.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. I'm sorry. Well, hey, Vision and Ultron, they are very connected, so I apologize. Okay,
they're totally different,
I'm not even gonna edit that
though.
out. I have no shame. I made a mistake. Whatever. I didn't even fact check. Everything we could be saying could be a lie.
I was like, what was Ultron?
Yeah, you see Ultron in the movie? He was in the bag. He was mopping.
Where
He was mopping.
I didn't think Ultron
I'm sorry,
was wearing
Vision.
anything.
I apologize. I am so sorry. Vision and Scarlet Witch. Vision, him wearing human clothes and just trying to make soup and it was just so hilarious. But he was doing all of this, in an effort to not just keep her there, because he could have had other means of doing it. He could have been more direct about it, but also he was also trying to build a relationship, with her. And honestly, I don't know how Vision really fits in with the rest of the group. Maybe he feels the closest to Scarlet Witch or whatever.
Why do you think that they chose? I'm not talking about the relationship between them, but why do you think they chose him to stay behind? Because I feel like he's the most powerful, really.
But you know what? I think that there's probably some Scarlet Witch is also kind of the most powerful. I think that's why. Because think about it. Tony Stark is super soldier, but he's not she could probably, if she wanted to, do some real damage to him without even being physically being in contact with him.
Mm-hmm.
Black Widow, she's also a physical person. Hawkeye,
And basically, when she kind of put him into the ground, that wasn't her. She wasn't mentally manipulating him, right? Because he can't be manipulated. He doesn't have
No, I don't think. Well, she can do something to his, because she did it. She can do something to his Infinity Stone.
Okay.
Because
I was about to say, I feel that because of his. I mean, I don't even know his strength level 9,000.
It's yet to be determined.
But the fact that she could actually keep him in the ground and keep it he couldn't fight back against him. So maybe it was that whole manipulation.
Because Scarlet Witch, her abilities, because it's funny. In the Ultron movies, you kind of get a sense of what she can do, and you want to just be like, oh, she's telekinetic, but it's more than that. The way she handles it, it's just more than that. And I think that even with her character, she doesn't fully understand her abilities or whatever. Right. And in turn with that, the Avengers don't fully understand how her abilities work. What is she doing? When in the comics, she's bending reality. So it's she's a freaking powerhouse. She's not aware of it. I can fly. Girl, you can do more than fly.
Do you think that they're going to maybe make that a point in future?
I think they should. Yeah. I think they should. And again, I would leave Vision with her, because Vision also, at least Vision has a very defined moral compass that may not go always in the best interest of the group or whatever, but he kind of has what he believes in, and he kind of sticks to that. And he's clearly loyal, because he didn't have to hold her hostage, but he was very nice about it. But he was the only candidate that could really hold her if she didn't want to go.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine Tony Stark saying that oh, you're not gonna leave this guy, man? She would just fling him out the window, put him in a black hole, slam him through the ground.
I can't imagine.
Rip off his suit or whatever, and then bury his body. It's
Right.
You might want you might have you need Vision.
She'll put him in the ground permanently.
Yes,
Right.
yes, and that would not be the movie we want to see.
I wonder if it had anything to do with them maybe sort of not trusting her as well and her abilities, because
exactly.
they put her with someone that. I don't want to say he's an expendable character, but he's He's a
And
robot.
also, he can't be manipulated by
Yeah,
that as
You
well.
know, so it's like someone that they were like, oh, if something happens to him, we can rebuild him or something.
And honestly, yeah,
You know?
they also are the newest members of the team, technically.
Oh, right.
I mean, Falcon's new, but Cap knows Falcon. Like, that's his number
Right.
2. So, that
Right.
was going to happen. And no one's talking to Bucky, so he's not even. No one's acknowledging Bucky.
Well, no one's talking to Bucky anymore.
Yes, yeah, right.
He's stuck in a nice tube or something.
Kingdom
like that.
Hearts locked him away for 7 years. He's probably building a nobody. I don't know. But Scarlet Witch can do that. Got some fan art there. Someone do me a picture of Naminé and Sora with I'm just gonna stop. You guys got it, right? Whatever. Anyways, I think that for Vision and Scarlet Witch, or what I think that stuck out to me is that there seems to be like a budding, not just friendship, but also a romance. Because Vision stopped, like he got startled when Scarlet Witch got in his way. I was gonna say Scarlett Johansson. Got in his way or whatever, and that's why he misfired and shot War Machine at this guy. War Machine, John Cheadle, he looks so old. You look so old. Oh, you're just old. You in your suit, but you're a veteran. That's okay. Your suit is dirty. Tony couldn't give you no paint. I was like, what is this, Tony? Why?
Suit.
Dirty suit. It's like he over there walking around the Mach 1. I'm like, what is happening with the situation on your body? But
and that was one thing too that I was not expecting. No, with War Machine and him hitting the ground and
you were waiting for him to catch him. When I realized people were going to dive and get him, I was like, they're not going to catch him.
Yeah,
they're not going to. And statistically, one of us kind of has to go in the film.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they didn't go.
Yeah, he came back.
Yeah.
As a semi-cripple.
Yeah. We suddenly kind of got the ability to walk within a day.
It was
after all those events.
It was those Stark braces, those Stark leg braces. He was like, God, yeah. I'm pretty sure people have already shipped them.
Steak braces?
No,
Steak braces?
shipped Tony Stark and
War Machine.
Yes. I just had horrible images in my mind.
Iron Machine? Is that their pairing name? Iron
War
Machine?
Man. Just call him War Man. War Man.
Because he's not a woman.
Yeah.
War Man.
Oh, by the way, Potts. They put her name in here. They made a reference to her. They didn't show her at all. You never really heard her. I'm assuming it's because of Iron Man 3 because she has that extremist stuff going on, right?
Right. That's what I think.
I kind of want to look into that.
I didn't watch that film.
It's interesting. It's a stripped down Iron Man movie. Like literally, it's a stripped down Iron Man movie. But anyways, that's for another time.
Is that the one with Mandarin?
Yeah.
Because I've heard it's like I don't know the basics, but I heard that Mandarin something was made.
Yeah.
Mandarin
If you
is technically
have time.
in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, right? The way you said that.
Is he Asian?
Double spoiler. You should check it out.
Oh.
Check it out. If you have some time, check it out. Figure out where Tony Stark's coming from. But let's see. Was there anything else you want to say about the film?
Yeah, in general, I mean, there's
Like, what did you dislike about the film? We didn't even talk about that.
some of it's picky stuff, like in the beginning, the opening sequence where they're running and chasing through this marketplace. I felt a lot of the fight sequences were just sped up, and I think that was to hide probably the speed of the actors or the stunt doubles or whoever. But it didn't feel like a Russo brothers film.
Ooh.
Like I was like, for a second, I was like, who directed this? Because I don't like when you can kind of visibly tell that they're kind of cheating things,
Interesting.
That was one thing, and then by the end of the film, it was fine. Like they only did that in the beginning, but like even that example you were talking about, Panther and Winter Soldier running, and how it was shot, and I was like, yeah, this feels like the Russo brothers. Like I don't know why the beginning just felt so off to me. It could have been the projector. I don't know. It just kind of there was something
it was
weird.
the effort to shave minutes off the time.
But yeah, so that was one thing I disliked. It didn't really take away much from the movie. Just kind of. It set off the tone weird for me to begin with.
Okay.
And then the War Machine thing you brought up, I really wish he died, because I felt like an impact like that needed to be made.
And it would feel like a Hollywood movie where the first person to die is black. Like it would be great.
Well, I wasn't going there. Yeah, I can see that.
Hashtag just kidding.
But yeah,
they gotta keep it consistent.
But I feel like the stakes need to be raised because it's Marvel movies do kind of have a lighter tone. They're a little safer in some ways.
No,
so I
that's
felt
true.
like it needed something like that to kind of kick it in that direction. Otherwise, it felt like I almost want to say episodic superhero TV, where it's like, oh, we can't kill these characters because we got to film another episode the next week.
Yeah.
So I just felt like an impact like that, especially with these two teams fighting. There were no casualties really that I can remember. and I don't know, it just all kind of felt too clean and buttoned up like an episode, you know. And yeah, I just every time I thought it was going dark, it would just kind of go light again, and then everyone's like, we're okay, we're all friends because we're all gonna.
You see, like again,
you know?
even at the very end, after Don Cheadle's character, Rhodey, Rhodey, right?
Rhodey.
He's just walking. And then it's just like that funny joke with Tony Stark being called Mr. Stank. Like, it's just kind of like,
Tony Stank.
Right.
you know.
Like,
but at the same time, I was like, I can walk now. It's like,
and he walked away, I think, on his
Maybe it's
own.
for the kid. Yes, he did. He was like,
I mean,
well,
regardless
I'm going, going back to
regardless of
PT.
those needs,
just
you know,
gonna
but-
make breakfast. I don't know what
I mean,
he's doing.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that's a conscious decision made because of the audience. They want to make sure that kids aren't traumatized. Because I feel like
Right.
a lot of times shows don't kill characters if their audience has kids, kids in mind. And I mean, that could be it. I mean,
Or it should have been like more paralyzed or something. Like
yeah,
I felt like
something a
impact
little
should
bit
have been
more. Yeah,
stronger.
yeah. I can see that.
He
I can
just
see
wasn't
that.
paralyzed enough.
He just wasn't
for-
paralyzed for
You
love.
start walking by the end of the movie.
Again, he had Stark legs. He had Stark
He
legs.
did.
So
He,
But
he
then-
likes he likes him paralyzed, I guess.
And what was the other thing?
Was it that kiss scene?
No.
oh,
That was
Kissing?
on mine.
because that was weird.
That was really
Yeah,
weird.
we'll go continue. with
No,
yours.
the other thing was, and I know DC gets a lot of flack for like the number of casualties that the heroes don't save and stuff like that. So it's not a DC. It's not me being a DC fan when I say this, but I thought Civil War was talking too much about like all these people. Like we could have saved them, and the whole movie was kind of revolving around how much responsibility they should have. And I just thought. I was reminded of that multiple times in the movie.
It's like too heavy-handed.
Yeah, like too
Okay,
much. Like
okay,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to kind of drive the story, but then I kind of felt like it kept coming up again.
It did keep coming up, but it did help me understand because obviously I think Tony Stark was the only one like confronted personally by the mother of a person
Right.
that was
Like-
was killed, which is Viola Davis.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So like he was the only one, and I think that's why I can understand why he was the first, like one of the most adamant ones. Like, no, we have to have a little bit more oversight, guys. This
Yeah.
is what
Hit his
happens
heartstrings. Hit his
when
heartstrings.
we are not, when we don't have somebody in charge of us. When we go in there ourselves
There's no
because
regulation.
we want to.
Yeah,
Right.
You
yeah.
know, and stuff like that.
and
But,
you brought that up on the non-spoiler portion of this too, about how you thought Tony was kind of out of character.
yeah.
And I thought so too. Like
But
him
I
to
can
be
understand
affected
why
by
he-
one incident like
Yeah.
this
Well,
was
yeah.
really strange.
But I don't know if he's ever been personally confronted by the mother who was just waiting there specifically. She didn't press any buttons. She was just kind of like waiting. She knew he was going to come back there.
Right.
And I think he was just kind of like, okay, press the button. And I think he was just like, I'm not sure if he's ever really been confronted like that by the mother
I can see that.
of
I can see that.
of a person. And also, too, like the person who was killed wasn't some thug. He
Yeah.
was just a person who liked technology and
Right.
and stuff like that. He was at school doing something good, and
Right.
and of course he didn't deserve that. And I think she really made him understand like he didn't deserve that, but because
But like
of
in the
your
big picture of
actions.
things.
No, I
right?
understand that, but again, maybe it's just the fact that it was just so personal. Like she was waiting for him to
Right.
kind of get back there, that she was just going to let him have it.
Again,
You know.
just because the movie came out recently or whatever, it is kind of like a similar change or opinion that was developed even with Batman and Batman vs Superman, where it was like, because of these people's or because of Superman's abilities or whatever, there needs to be some type of regulation. Like
Right.
Batman would have definitely been on Tony Stark's side because he
Right.
would have been like, all these gods are walking around killing people or whatever. And I think
Right.
it's kind of funny how they both are kind of doing the whole like, you have heroes, but what do they mean? What cost? Where do they stand? And how much control do you have? That's actually like characteristic of Tony Stark. It is kind of weird, and yeah, what you said actually it does make sense though. I think so. I'm thinking about it now. What about you though? What did you?
I didn't
Anything that you
like?
didn't dislike?
Well, not to say that I didn't like dislike it, but I
was
did
weird,
think it was
maybe?
out of place. It was that kiss between Captain America and Sharon Carter, which is, well, his beloved's niece. It just seemed like there was something between them. And I think
Yeah,
even in
yeah.
Winter Soldier, they might have shared a nice long look or whatever. Maybe
Right.
Black Widow was talking about.
It
"Hey,
was
you
a
should
nice
date,"
long look.
Yeah, and so a nice long look, a nice long kiss. I mean, but for me, what I liked about the scene more than the kiss itself was just Bucky's and Sam's reaction. They were like, "Get it, Steve. Like just get it." Like, so that's what I thought it was a fun moment, just like for that. But I think
was a good way to
just
bounce back
the-
from it.
Yeah, because I was like, that just seems a little bit strange because. at this moment in time, like maybe that we did see hints. I don't think it was forced. I think it was rushed.
Yes.
It didn't seem forced.
Yes.
You know, it just seemed super rushed. And maybe you could say, well, maybe it feels
They
forced.
have 5
because it
scenes
was rushed.
together, and they're like, let's make out. I'm like, but you guys really wouldn't talk
and
about
also
business.
the level of clearance that Sharon Carter has, she's just dropping all sorts of hints, like
Oh
where
my
Bucky
gosh.
is.
Not just
she
that.
knew where he
she
was.
took their weapons from the safe hold they were locked
Right.
away from, and then just
Right.
I'm like, I mean, honestly, she's the character that I have a problem with
Yeah.
because, I mean, okay, refresh my memory, but I don't know why she was needed. I kind of, unless they're setting up for something else, I don't know why she was needed. Was she supposed to be just the inside person that helped them out when
I
they
think
were?
so, yeah, pretty
Because in my
much.
mind, I was like, I don't know. It just she could have been written out. I don't know. I
And she
don't know
was-
where she's going to end
yeah,
up.
she
Maybe
was
that's
even the
what-
one who was kind of like, let me show you the inside view of when Zemo was interviewing Bucky. Like she was like, let me just turn this
Yeah,
on.
turn this on. Oh, look, you
Right.
can listen to it now.
And I was like, how much
Yeah,
clearance
something
does
about
she
that was
have?
weird.
I didn't think about that.
I mean,
Like-
and that's the thing about it too. When it comes to this film, a lot of things. If we're talking about something that just seemed kind of weird, it's the fact that Zemo, that's his name, right? Zemo,
Right.
Helmut Zemo. The fact that his plan was so specific, and yet everything worked out.
Yes.
Right.
Because I'm like, first of all, we know that Iron Man, he didn't have to go to the Siberian area where all the super soldiers was,
Nope.
because the
But
plan.
you knew that he was going to.
But he knew that he was going to
Yeah.
be there somehow because that was the only reason why. Because he wanted them to have fights between each other.
Yeah.
And he needed Iron Man to be there so that he could show him that, hey, Bucky killed your parents.
Right.
And then I'm just like,
Right.
And then also the fact that like, and maybe the one reason why I can think that it all worked out too was the fact too that Zemo also sent a bomb to the power plant guy.
Yeah.
And that shut down all the electricity so that he could manipulate Bucky like cart or whatever the words were. And
Freight car, whatever.
freight train and stuff like that. But he also did that. I'm
Any
like, how
given
did he
Sunday.
know where to send that bomb
Well, it
to
was.
set off all the power? But then there's still
was
probably
prob-
members
yeah.
of Hydra still in
Yeah,
Shield.
yeah.
So that's the only thing I can think of.
But
It
of course,
just
that
didn't-
wasn't really explained. You're just kind of left to believe that
Right.
he just knows that this right here, this power plant is
How,
the grid that's
how
going
did
to
he
knock out
know
the city.
about that
and it's going to
psychologist?
affect- Yeah.
How did he
Right.
know about the psychologist? How did
Yeah.
he know where to send that electromagnetic bomb? How did he know that Iron Man was gonna be there?
Right, that's a big because I mean Iron Man had to change his
He did.
attitude about
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah,
simple.
and it's like I can imagine like Zemo just kind of sitting in that Siberian kind of area and just kind of waiting.
waiting.
I mean,
He's
I
got
mean,
his
I
video
hope
all
Tony
made. He
joins Cap.
he edited some video like we do. You know, he probably uses Adobe Premiere and he kind of cuts all the audio together.
Right.
He's just like on his own
hashtag
computer.
sponsor Adobe. Like,
So like there was just a lot of things. Again, I still had a lot of fun with the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
But
yeah.
when you sit down and think about it, you're like, either Zemo is just incredibly smart. He knows all the moves of like chess pieces. He knows what people are going to do and how they're going to react.
Zemo's just
And it didn't even work anyways. Like it did work, but at the same time, they still.
got back together at the end. Like
Yeah.
like
Right.
he went through a lot of. I mean, he went through a lot to achieve his goals, and I feel like his end result was kind of pathetic for what he was trying, everything that he went through to do
Yeah, yeah.
to get them to fight each other, because that's the only way I guess he could feel like he could actually like hurt them, because I was just like, oh, you're just you're just another like little weird sob story. Like I don't feel compassionate about you, but I also don't feel like you had a compelling enough reason to go through all of this to tear things apart, because I'm assuming that Zemo, I mean, like he found out about I'm going to call it the Red Ledger or whatever that book was that has the instructions on how to activate the soldiers or whatever.
How do you
But it
feel
was
about
like,
that?
but it was just like there was a lot of things you were kind of left to believe, and I do not recall if that stuff was kind of explained more thoroughly in the film or in previous movies. And who knows, maybe it's done like this because they're going to cover the tracks later. I'm not quite sure, but the villain of the film, he wasn't anything to me. He really wasn't anything.
Well, I've heard that some people think of him as like a sympathetic character, but I'm like, I can sort of see where people are getting that from, but at the same time, it loses all sort of sympathy, especially at the very end too, when he's talking to Black Panther, and Black Panther is the only one who has enough sense, and
Yeah.
he's like, okay, well, clearly, we're just going to take you in, and that's the thing about strength.
Black
Sometimes you don't have
Panther.
you don't have to like kill people. Sometimes showing strength is showing restraint as well. But it lost all sorts of sympathy for me too when Zemo is kind of talking to Black Panther. He's just like, he's talking about his father. He's just like, and your father, he seemed like a good man, so I'm really sorry about that, man. Like, I was just like, all sorts of sympathy gone. I don't even care. I wasn't even sympathetic in the first place, but it's just one of those things that.
Too many fathers and people you killed to just anyway.
Well, just like even if you were going to, have revenge on the people who wronged. It almost reminds me of Star Trek Into Darkness. You remember that one guy?
No, I didn't see it.
I saw it. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you don't. Spoilers? I mean, I don't.
Go for it.
Okay, so basically, in that movie, there's this one guy in the very beginning, right? He set a bomb in his ring. He put it in the water,
Right,
and he
right.
blew up the Starfleet kind of area,
Right.
Because Benedict Cumberbatch's character Khan told him that if he did that, he would be able to save his daughter. And I'm like, okay, so this father killed a whole bunch of innocent people just to save his daughter. I'm like, I don't. She's already. You don't kill innocent people just to save your daughter. Like, I know it's
Right.
sad and like you're gonna lose your daughter, but you don't take out innocent people. Like, if you took out like 50 rapists, like totally, I don't care. But it's just one of those things. You don't do it to people who you've served with, and
Right.
So there's sometimes I'm like, I get where you're going, but I still have no sympathy for you as the villain of the character who causes all sorts of trouble. And that's what, again, Into Darkness, it was that one guy whose daughter was dying. He just blew up a portion of Starfleet because Khan told him to in order to save his daughter.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It didn't make, it makes sense, it doesn't make sense at the
Right.
same time, and stuff like that. But
So, no, I guess the next question, kind of wrapping things up. The next film that's in the Marvel chronology is
X-Men.
Doctor Strange.
not necessarily
Marvel
Doctor
Cinematic
Strange.
Universe.
Yeah, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah,
okay.
Fox's X-Men. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it's Doctor Strange, and they're probably going to introduce him in some effort to maybe apply him to the 2018 Avengers movie. That's supposed to be the Gauntlet Wars. Am I saying it right?
Infinity.
Infinity War. Infinity Gauntlet.
How
I was
do I
there.
know
I
more
was out
about
there.
this?
I was almost there. Whatever. Okay, he's
There
purple.
is a gauntlet.
Yeah, there was a
third
gauntlet.
time I'm
I'm
gonna tell you to
halfway
leave
there.
this room.
But like, yeah. So I guess what we have that. We have Guardians of the Galaxy. Are there any other Marvel?
Inhumans.
Oh,
But
they're
I
actually-
think they put that on hold. Inhumans.
they're doing it in Humans. Oh, they were doing it in
I
Humans.
think they were doing the Inhumans. Black Panther, Captain
Okay.
Marvel.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know
Captain Marvel.
chronologically.
Oh, and they were going to do female Captain Marvel, the one that's
Well, the Captain Marvel, the male one, is on the DC side.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking about something else.
Get out of here.
Ignore that. No, yeah, I was right. Captain Marvel, the female Captain Marvel.
Well, that's what I said. You said
Yeah.
the male one. I'm like, the male one is in DC.
No, there was a male Captain Marvel.
In the Marvel side? Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I didn't
It's
know
fine.
that.
Okay. Your lack of knowledge confused me. Yes. Yes, there was Captain Marvel. Anyways, we're not going to go into that. But okay, so we have a few more movies that are coming up. I think that 2018 one kind of wraps up everything.
Yeah.
So I am actually looking forward to seeing how they carry, because, every movie has its own plot. But I'm curious to see how they carry actually. I don't know. I'm really more interested in the actual relationships with the heroes and how they change based on the current event and how they're going to change or how they're going to interact with, let's say, the people from Guardians of the Galaxy. I feel like at some point they're going to probably intersect and cross paths or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Ant-Man/Giant Man to be in here. That was a great scene. And
Yeah.
Disney, you kind of waving your flag that you own anything's interesting because you were like, oh, look, it's Giant Man. And they were going to throw in a Star Wars reference.
Right.
And I was like,
I kind of liked it, and then I kind of scoffed at it. But
they've been doing it.
then I kind of liked it.
I think even in Guardians of the Galaxy, I think like I forgot a Star-Lord. I think at one point, maybe when he was a kid, he has like a Star Wars comic or something. There's a Star Wars nestled somewhere in like the Marvel properties, and it's kind of funny to me. But so even after everything we've talked about, we still kind of stand where we are, where we rated things in the unspoiled version, right? No one's opinions have changed based on hearing the dislikes of someone else or anything like that.
No,
Whatever.
I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like when it comes ultimately at the end of the day, it's just a piece of entertainment, and you can take it as seriously as you want, saying like, "Well, that doesn't make any sense." It's like, how does this person fly? It's like, well, you can try to think about it all you want, but ultimately that person flies. Like, you don't have to think about things too deeply. But of course, when you do think about things there are things that don't make sense, things that don't add up. How does this person know this? How do they know this is going to happen? It's almost like too perfect when things work out. And maybe that is one thing about the Marvel films, and that's a stark difference from the DC films. Like DC films, nothing works out. Marvel films, everything works out.
Right.
So I don't know.
Right.
No, well, I mean, that's, stuff like that. But But you know, ultimately at the end of the day, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed watching it with my coworkers and stuff like that, and I thought it was a very good just watching.
Would you recommend it
Oh
to
yeah, totally.
someone who has not seen any of the Marvel movies?
You know, I would. Maybe there's some things that would be cleared up, like, you know, especially with like Sharon Carter. Like you would not know who she was, or like Peggy Carter, you know, like that sort of stuff. Because obviously he has a very, Steve has a very close connection with Peggy Carter, but unless you knew who she was. But at the same time, they kind of explain things a little bit, because you could tell that she was a very important part of his life when he was in the 40s. So you can imply
His whole entire all of his movies are about kind of like they kind of bring up that or whatever.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And I honestly would. I you know, 'cause maybe some people would say like you have to watch these certain films to, you know, before going in, and it would be helpful actually if you want to understand what's going on. But if you just wanted to see it for what it is, then yeah.
Not having any ties, you think that you think in your opinion is that
it would be very entertaining,
okay.
Yeah, and also because you've got not just older heroes, but you've got the introduction of Spider-Man. He's a younger one that I think, you know, you've got a whole bunch of heroes that everybody knows about. You'll know something. That's why in this film, no origin stories. I mean, maybe you have a tiny bit of an origin thing, but they don't dwell.
A few
on
lines,
it.
and that was it.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So you don't have to dwell on it. If they can do that in. Even like for me, I knew nothing of Black Panther. I don't really know much about Ant-Man because I didn't watch the movie. I don't know much about Spider-Man. If I can even understand this film. So yeah, I would have to say that anybody who's just interested should watch it.
What about you? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I definitely would. I pretty much agree with every point you made. And I don't think there was. I mean, it's again with me saying Marvel is formulaic. It does have a formula in there for people that. If you don't know the histories of everything, you can still pretty much enjoy the movie for what it is. And if you go back, yeah, it'll fill in some gaps, but it doesn't take anything away from the movie experience that they set up in this movie. So, yeah, I totally recommend
And I would also recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen any of the Marvel movies, just because as I think it does also stand alone. You enjoy it more the more you know about the Marvel lore and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You don't have to read the comics, I think that just going in, just watching the movies, you'll get like the maximum intended experience for the person who is not a comic book fan or who does not follow Marvel or etc. And kind of like with that, I kind of have nothing else to say about the films. I think we're done here.
Actually, I do. Sorry, I have to.
Uno momento. Dohan has extra words.
But what I'm saying is that ultimately, this film made me really excited about the upcoming films, because I haven't really had this much excitement in regards to superhero films in a while.
You know that Captain America isn't in every single film that comes out from this point on, right? I don't know if that... You know that, right?
That's impossible. He has to be.
Well,
the real man. Well, no, like it's just one of those things that even though I know not much about Marvel, I know the basics. I'm actually getting just really excited about kind of what's coming on the roster. And you know, again, you know, me and Alan were huge DC fans, and I just haven't had that feeling in regards to that.
Good job, Marvel. Good job.
Yeah, you even got me. So it's just, you know, one of those things. But yeah, do you guys remember that scene where Captain America he has a helicopter he's holding onto the tower?
Yes.
He's just like,
oh, his flex scene.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
I remember that part. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
You did? Okay, cool.
I remember it.
That's what I wanted to end on. That's all.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to LittleNerdyAX. I can say my name right. This is Aylin. This is Dohan. Be sure to check out her YouTube channel. She is also a wonderful friend of mine and gamer. Check it out. And this is Alan. Alan will be popping up in places because he is an enigma, and that's all I have to say about him. You can also follow his Twitter down here if you want to see what his road is like. By the way, it involves a lot of wrestling and cats. So, with that said, see you later, Space Cowboy.
Bye.
See ya.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, thank you for watching our video. And if you enjoyed it, please remember to click the like button below and subscribe for more Little Nerdy Axe action in the future. Also, don't forget to leave any comments and share it with your friends. We will see you next time. See you later, Space Cowboy.
Boom, you got that one.